Alright guys, it's time to get into it. On this part, we're going to be talking about use cases. So, you got some definitions down pat, and now you want to understand the use of these definitions or the use of real estate as a whole. Being that you know what real estate is, now it's time to figure out why people buy it. So, let's answer that question first. Why should you buy real estate? First and foremost, real estate is a sound investment because over time, it's one of the most tried and true ways to make a consistent income and build wealth. There's only a few things that humans necessarily need in order to survive, and shelter is definitely one of them. So when you buy real estate and you're in the business of taking care of one of those needs, you're essentially in a market that is a necessity for human survival. That means the demand is usually going to be pretty high. So, one, it's a necessity. Two, being that it's a necessity, governments make sure to take care of their people to a certain extent by making it easier for them to be able to check those boxes off. And this is where it gets interesting. The government will lower the interest rate in order to make it more attractive for people to borrow money in order to purchase a house specifically. That way, when you have all of that help in order to purchase a home, you are now more likely to do so, and you're able to build wealth over time. Now, everybody says it's a great way to build wealth. How is that the case? Here's the thing. You can own a home and rent it out. And the way that works is you now own the establishment and you can charge people each month in order to live in that establishment. For example, let's say you purchase a 2-family house. You can live in one of those units and then you can also charge rent to someone else so that they can live in one of those units. That way, each month you're either able to pay your debts or even make a little bit of profit. Now, let's say you have a 3 or a 4-family house. Obviously, your profit margin can raise and you're in a situation in which you're making consistent money each month. That's one way in which you make money through real estate. That's being a landlord. Secondly, you make money in real estate because the value of your home more than likely will appreciate over time. Now, this is not to say that it will indefinitely appreciate with no dips, but more than likely over the span of your mortgage, whether it's 20 to 30 years, the price of your property will be much more valuable in comparison to when you bought it. That's due to a lot of different factors, such as the inflation rate of the American dollar, scarcity, and demand. So that's 2 different ways you're making money. You're making money each month, and then the value of what you bought is appreciating over time. Is there any other ways to make money? Yeah. Now, a lot of people don't take this way into account, but it's very important to people like me. That's equity. Okay, you know what equity is based upon our definition video, the part before, last week. So, how does that relate to the system at hand? Equity is important because when you took that first loan out and you're paying your mortgage each month, you're building it. You have more and more of a percentage of the total property. Now, I challenge you to think of it like this. As opposed to thinking that you're paying someone to live in that property, think of it like this. You're really paying yourself. How is that? Well, when you pay your mortgage and it gets transferred to equity, you are still getting the value of what you're putting into that mortgage. It's just being converted. So you're taking $1, and as opposed to giving that dollar to someone else, you're just changing it into more equity in your house. I know a lot of you guys are interested in stocks, etc., and I can use that as an example. When you're buying stocks, all you're really doing is taking your cash and transferring it into a company. Same thing with your mortgage. You're taking your cash and you're transferring it into equity in your house. So you really keep that money, essentially. And being that you did that, you are now able to get another loan on that equity or even sell your house at a higher rate and keep the cash difference. So you're not really paying anything out. You're really just transferring your money and paying yourself. And that's important because you're keeping all your money in-house. See what I did there? But yeah, you're keeping all your money in a closed system that can benefit you. And that's how you build wealth because it's not really going out to anyone else. When you pay rent, that money is not coming back. So that $1,000 that you put in each month for rent is being transferred to a totally different system, and you're not really going to benefit off of that besides the fact that you're able to live there for that month. When you're paying a mortgage, however, you essentially get that money back in equity and when you possibly end up selling your establishment. So yeah, those are 3 very important ways as to how you make money and build wealth over time with real estate. Okay, so now you know why it's very important for you to own your own property, own your own house, or at least get into real estate as another means of investment. So the only question now is, how do you do this? Well, the in-depth answer to that question will come next week, and I will tell you directly how to go through the proper channels for you to become a real estate investor. Because it's for everybody, if you're over 18 at least. But as a preliminary tidbit, all you really have to do is fulfill your eligibility requirements when it comes to qualifying for a mortgage, and then speak to a broker. After speaking to a broker, they'll be able to get you in contact with someone who's a financer. That financing will then give you the money. You'll take that money, buy the property, and then you'll do those 3 things that I mentioned earlier to build wealth over time. So, I hope that was insightful. You know how you're going to make money in real estate investment. You're going to come back next week to figure out how you're going to do it specifically. And if you have any questions, of course, leave it in the comments, because the next episode, the next part is part 4, where I do a big Q&A. So let me know if you need anything. And until next week, see you soon.